Just one night, all we got. Just one night, all we got. Just one night, all we got. Just one
The
night.
Roaring Twenties were a vastly different era than any other time in America that has had a major impact on today's society in a number of ways, one of which includes the development of the film industry. Film certainly blossomed during the 20s, making the transition from vaudeville to silent films on the big screen. And this is where you began to see movie genres develop. From westerns and horrors to comedies and romance, movies were being produced with incredible speed. By the mid-20s, movies had become a big business. According to filmsites.org, the greatest output of feature films in the US occurred during the 1920s and 1930s, averaging about 800 film releases in a year, whereas nowadays it is astounding when productions exceed 500 film releases in a year.
With the blossoming of the film industry, major production companies began to crop up that are still around today. There were 5 major film studios called the Big Five. Number 1 was Warner Bros. Pictures, which was incorporated in 1923 by Polish brothers Jack, Harry, Albert, and Sam Warner. Number 2 was Adolf Zucker's Famous Players and Jesse Lasky's feature play that became known as Paramount Pictures in 1935. Number 3 is RKO Pictures, who evolved from the Mutual Film Corporation in 1912. Number 4 is MGM Studios, that ultimately formed in 1924 from the merger of the film production companies Metro Pictures Corporation, Goldwyn Pictures Corporation, and Louis B. Mayer Picture Company. And lastly, number 5, Fox Film Corporation/Foundation, founded in 1912 by owner William Fox, which later became known as 20th Century Fox.
Almost all of these production companies are still around today and have made a huge impact on the movie industry, much like the actors and actresses in films, those of which includes the work of Charlie Chaplin, Joan Crawford, and illusionist Harry Houdini.
Born in 1889, Charlie Chaplin, an English comic actor, is one of the most known names within the 20s film industry who rose to fame during the silent era. Chaplin was a comedian who gained stardom by acting as a drunkard with a bowler hat and saggy pants dubbed the Little Tramp. Like many actors and actresses within the 20s era, Chaplin started out his career in vaudeville. Having former ties with the theatrical form of theater, Chaplin was able to use his slapstick ways of entertaining to capture the physical comedy that the silent films needed.
Charlie's best films took place in the 1920s, such as The Kid, The Circus, The Gold Rush, and A Woman of Paris. Despite the size of the part, Chaplin was regarded as one of the most demanding men in Hollywood, who would walk the actors through every scene. He was an actor who had a method that created a vivid and spontaneous image and who realized that a successful scene was not about the star, but everyone in the scene, a skill that he took with him when he began to direct his own movies. Outside the films, Chaplin was married to 4 different women. His 4th marriage was with Una O'Neill, and together they had 8 children until 1977, where he died in Switzerland due to natural causes.
Born Lucille Fay Lassier, Joan Crawford was an American dancer and stage queen, a chorus girl or female singer or dancer of the chorus of a musical comedy or vaudeville show, who would later become an Oscar-winning movie and television actress. During the mid-20s, Lassier eventually danced in the Broadway show Innocent Eyes, and in 1925 the actress began to work on-screen for MGM Studios. During this period, the actress starred in a number of silent films and was eventually given the name Joan Crawford from a magazine contest sponsored by the studio. In 1928, the actress hit it big with the smash Our Dancing Daughters, in which she played a rich, lovelorn girl who loved to Charleston, a mainstream dance during the 1920s.
A luxuriant and long-lasting film career followed with her big breakout, having Crawford ultimately moving on to star in more than 5 dozen films in her time. She pursued talking roles with films like Hollywood Revue and Grand Hotel, and her dancing skills were displayed with Fred Astaire in the 1933 hit Dancing Lady. Crawford was one of Hollywood's top stars of the 1930s, in which she won an Oscar for Best Actress as her role of the mother in Mildred Pierce. She won several more awards for her later roles in Possessed and Sudden Fear, but it was in the 20s that the starlet made a name for herself. Crawford was married several times, all of which ended in divorce, and she adopted 4 children. As her career began to grow quiet, Joan passed away due to a heart attack in 1977.
Born as Eric Wise in Austria-Hungary in 1874, Harry Houdini was an illusionist, escape artist, and stunt performer. He performed numerous escapes from various places, and he became known as one of the best and most famous escape artists. Although he is most well known for his escape acts and stunts, he also had a movie career going. In the early 1920s, he formed his own production company called Houdini Picture Corporation, where he produced and starred in 3 successful films called Terror Island, The Man from Beyond, and Haldane of the Secret Service. His corporation and movie career was a great success. However, he dropped the corporation in 1923 due to thinking that the pay was insufficient for him. Houdini continued to put most of his attention to exposing fraud medium and psychics. He later died in 1926 of peritonitis from a ruptured appendix when he suffered a surprise hit to the stomach by a boxer.
As you can see, the era of film during the 20s was a busy and highly influential period reflected on our media today. The film stars, production companies, and silent films have all made an impact on the way movies are done today and the way actors and actresses portray themselves. The way of movies in the 20s has greatly paved the way to the progression that cinema has taken and will inevitably continue to make.
Little party never killed nobody, so we gon' dance until we drop. A little party.